welcome back to Residence Repair Co. So today on the table we have a white bag. Inside this white bag is an instrument. This is the Recording King Dirty 30 12 string. The reason that it is in this plastic bag is that I was trying to get some moisture in the body so we could repair a very small thin crack that's inside here. So a few days ago, I took a wet sponge, I put it inside. I have a sound hole sponge and I wrapped it in the bag and I unwrapped it a few times and re-wet the sponge. What we're trying to do is get as most moisture in this body that we can so we can glue this crack safely. So this is the Recording King Dirty 30. We're gonna unwrap it here. It's a pretty cool 12 string. I purchased this instrument for steel a few months back and I have tried to rejuvenate it. I rejuvenated the neck and I did a lot of cleanup and changed strings and polished the body, and it was very, very dry when I got it. Very dry. It was like someone kept it in a garage or a barn, I believe it was. It's only a few years old, but it must not have been taken care of whatsoever. But it was so dry that it was almost brittle. So I brought it back to life. I played it for a little bit, but now I'm going to try to fix this particular crack. It is almost not even visible. It's right here. It was much more visible when it was dry. So obviously this process has worked. So we're gonna take out the sponges. We'll remove our sound hole sponge, and then inside there is another dry sponge. And I'm going to try to get my fingers wrapped around. It is bone dry. It's been in there for a couple days. So the way we're going to do this is, I don't think this needs any cleats on the inside to hold together. So we have both Tight Bond hide glue and CA glue. This is thin CA glue, which is super glue, but this is a thin version. So this is almost watery. So I was going to use hide glue for this, but since this is such a small crack, I don't think I am. I think I'm gonna use the super glue. But the hide glue would seep in there and we would be able to clean this up with water. Super glue we won't. So I'm gonna really inspect this for a second and then decide which direction I'm going to go with, because I don't want the glue to remain on this body whatsoever. So I may have to pull some strings out here to get my hand inside. So let's do that first, and then we'll show you how I'm gonna reach in here and push on this a little bit to see if this crack separates. Just stick around here for a second. I'm just gonna take my peg puller, pull these strings. I have to loosen them first, and then we'll set those to the side. I don't want to ruin these strings. A 12 string takes forever to string up, and these are new. They've barely been played, so hang tight. All right, we have the strings off. They're just kind of laying here off to the side, so hopefully I can reuse those. We're gonna pull the saddle out. Just lay that off to the side. All right, so now if we put our hand in here, well, I gotta take my watch off. So if we put our hand in here, we should be able to push this just tiny bit. I don't really see any separation here though, which could mean that this isn't through the wood. Yeah, I don't really, so what I'm trying to do is just separate the wood a little bit so I can get some glue in there, but I don't really see it. So that might mean that it's not through the wood the entire way. You can feel it here. You can feel a little hump. So let me kind of go through my brain here and see which glue I want to use. I may use the hide glue because it cleans up. Okay, so I think this is just a surface crack. I don't think it's a structural crack. I don't think it's going the whole way through. One way to tell is to see if there's light coming up through. So if I take my phone and I do the flashlight, I'm gonna put that down in the body here. You should be able to see if it's the whole way through. See light coming up through, which I do not. There is no light coming through that crack whatsoever. So that is a surface crack. So now to get my phone out of the sound hole. Surface crack. So that changes our approach. So realistically, we probably don't even need to glue this. Just to be safe, I'm going to put a little hide glue on it. I'm not going to use the CA glue. I'm afraid that I'm going to get it on the body. It's not going to be easy to clean up. So the hide glue will. So we're going to take our tape, our blue painter's tape. This is low tack, and that's why we're using it. And we're going to tape around this. This is almost hard to do because it's hard to see. It's hard to see the actual crack itself. It does curve just a tiny bit here at the back, which obviously makes taping a little bit more difficult. All right, so we have our tape on that. We're gonna open up our hide glue. I have Tight Bond hide glue, and what I'm gonna do is use a little Q-tip. Let's brush this on, and we're just gonna try to brush it in the crack here. All right, we're gonna let that set here for a second. But what I am gonna do is I do want to reach my hand back down in here. Give a couple pushes, just in case that does separate. I'm gonna try to get that glue down inside. All right. I'm going to put the cap back on that glue before I spill it. All right, we're going to let that dry. So this is a watching paint dry process. But we're going to let that dry. Then we're going to come back with a wet rag, wipe over top of that. And that should secure our surface crack on this Recording King. So it's as easy as that. Now, if that crack would have been just a little bit deeper, we would have used our CA glue with one of these little tips, and we would have really just squirted it down inside that little spot there and let the CA glue run through the crack, give a little pressure on the edges, and that would have done the job. But let's see how this works. I'm sure it's going to be just fine, and then we'll restring this guitar back up after we clean this up. So stay tuned. All right, it's been about 20 minutes. And I just started to pull this tape up and just to see where we were at, but it's coming up quite easy. And we're just gonna pull this tape off. So you're gonna wanna let that glue set about 20 to 30 minutes is the sweet spot. You don't want it to be set completely, but enough that whatever's down inside is just gonna start to, perfect. All right, so now there's a little bit more glue on here that's gonna need cleaned off. I'm gonna take a pair of tweezers here, just ever so slightly grab that glue, and I'm just pulling off that top layer. Try not to scratch this guitar. Cool. All right, so now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna let that dry about another 10 minutes. And then we're gonna take a rag with some just warm water and just go over the top of that to clean that off. All right, so I have a nice soft microfiber towel. I just got some warm water on it. So we're just gonna rub these spots here where the glue is showing with just a little bit of warm water. And that's the cool thing about the high glue, is it cleans up really well with water, which I was a little concerned about the super glue, because I did not want to have to sand this in any way and try to refinish this. All right, so I think any glue that was able to seep down inside of that will hold that together, and we should be good to go. So that, my friend, is how you fix a surface crack on the top of an acoustic guitar. If it would have been a little bit deeper, we probably would have used some clamps and pushed that together. But because it's just a surface crack, we were able to just put a little high glue on there, and hopefully that seeped down into that crack and will dry and fill that area and keep that from separating anymore. If it would have been a deeper crack, then we could have put some cleats underneath. But because this is such a budget guitar, we didn't have to go that route. So if you want to see some of the products that I use, scroll down below. I'll list all the products there, including the high glue and the super glue and some of the other products that I use on this channel. Please like and subscribe. Follow us along for other guitar related repairs and fixes, and try to check out our shorts that we put up every now and then, usually a couple times a week, where we show some cool guitars that come through the shop here. So please like and subscribe, follow us along. Residence Repair.